Hi, I wanted to go over the instructions here for the mollusk comparison activity. Again, very similar to the other comparison activities we've done. Learning intention, we're learning about how to classify organisms so we can figure out how biologically similar they are to each other. We're looking at the phylum Mollusca, but we're looking at a few specific scientific classes within that. Success criteria, I'll be successful when I can research biological features of different groups of mollusks. I can compare the similarities and differences of different groups of mollusks to one another. So, like before, we're filling out this chart with information. There is a link to the class slideshow to help you out a little bit, especially when we're talking about, what is the type of shell for that mollusk? What is the function of the foot? You can kind of narrow down the options by looking at a combination of the information you look up and the information from our class slideshow. So, for example, if I moved to the section, let's say that I was looking at class bivalvia, I can make some notes about what the foot's function potentially is based on some of these specifications. So it could be used for digging, sometimes it's used for climbing, or sometimes it'll cling tightly to one place. So again, I can kind of narrow down between those options based on the info that I look up on that particular bivalve that I find. So for each type of mollusk, there's a search phrase. So again, looking at bivalves here, we can try searching species of bivalves in Google. So I'm going to highlight that text, copy it, I'll paste it in here. And after I paste it, it should give me several options of bivalves that I can select from. So let's say that I went with the zebra mussel out of my options here. I can click on that. And again, the magnifying glass with zebra mussel next to it will just give me information about that specific species whenever I scroll down. So again, I'll probably find a Wikipedia entry. That one is good for looking at some of the classification info. So again, if you're looking for, what is the class? Bivalvia. Again, probably not very surprising. With a lot of these mollusks, the type of mollusk's name is very similar to its scientific class. So if you can tell which one it matches up with, go for it. If it makes sense, absolutely put that in. We want to know the name of the example mollusk, and in some cases, you may only have the scientific name. In particular, for like the chitin and the tusk shell, sometimes you'll only have a scientific name. So you can put either the scientific or common name depending on what you find. We want a picture of your example mollusk. We want to know what scientific class it belongs to: bivalvia, cephalopoda, gastropoda, polyplacophora, or scaphopoda. Tell me the type of shell that it has. Again, is it composed of 8 plates? Is it 2 hinged valves? Is it an internal shell, like to where we can't even see it, but it is present on the inside of the body? Is it a spiral, like kind of a looping shell? Is it just a tube? So again, there is at least one type of shell where it's a tube that's open at both ends. Or is there no shell whatsoever? Again, some mollusks actually have no shell in certain cases. And then I also want to know the function of the foot. We've talked about the foot generally is used for specific types of locomotion. So is it used for burrowing? Does it cling onto things? Does it crawl? Is it modified into tentacles that it's going to grab with? Or is it used for swimming? So again, it depends on which species you pick. So again, we're doing this for bivalves, cephalopods, gastropods, chitins, and tusk shells. You'll pick out a specific example for each of those. Once you're done filling out the chart, you've got your 2 comparison questions here at the end. What do you notice that all the example mollusks have in common? Think about some of the common characteristics of mollusks we mentioned in class. It might be helpful to look back at our slideshow info for that one, or just consider the columns that are included in the chart itself. It is hard sometimes to think about the common features of mollusks, but there are certain things that you can latch on to. And then what do you notice that is different between all the examples of mollusks? This one's a lot easier. They are a very diverse group, and so there are quite a few differences between them, especially when you start talking about the information that you filled out on the chart or just general observations that you have. So again, tell me what you notice as far as some differences between them. So again, should be pretty similar to the other comparison activities that we've done. Hopefully we'll give you a little bit more insight about the variety of mollusks.